Yeah. Welcome back to the show where we shatter the silence on men's mental health. We are unedited, unfiltered, and as always, we are going raw. My name is Joey.
And I'm Eric, and we're your hosts, and welcome to Raw Minds. There it is, man.
Welcome.
We got something different this time.
Oh, we doing it big, Eric, like we do every week, buddy.
Yeah, bro.
Every week we doing something different. We doing it big. Ain't only gonna get bigger.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, buddy.
So,
This is it's quite a it's gonna be an interesting night.
yeah,
Definitely. We're taking a different angle on things, and I'm excited.
different perspective. That's it. Yeah, perspective.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Perspective.
Well, I don't know, man. I think we should just, how we bullshit it here at the start usually. I think we should just jump right into it. Get her
Are we
done.
skipping all the small talk
Yeah,
today?
fuck the small talk today. Let's just do it.
No small talk.
Nah, fuck it. Let's just give her. This one's interesting, man. I'm actually really excited to do this.
Yeah, buddy. Well, just for the new people tuning in, we are the podcast that really dives deep into men's mental health, especially. We just had Men's Mental Health Awareness Month last month, but it's not talked about enough. Things aren't done enough, and that's why we do what we do, and we really try to bring the awareness weekly and not just in 1 month. So thank you guys all if you are just tuning in, and for anybody else that's our regulars, we love you, and let's get right into it, there, big guy.
All right. Well, our guest here is Rudi. She's a female. Woo! Different. Um, she's going to explain kind of what she kind of went through. So we get a look at the other side and like what you know, fucking shit happens when you don't fucking take care of your shit, and the repercussions of who it hurts, and you know the waves that it fucking makes, and it can keep on going on, and it'll go off to maybe even the child, or it grows, you know what I mean. you, the
Oh, and
kids that can inherit that shit, right?
well, generational trauma, right?
100%.
And anything that we go through is, if we don't deal with it, our kids will deal with it.
Yeah.
You will pass that down to your children if you do not deal with your shit.
Yeah.
And it is not fair. And that's when they always say to break generational curses and break that generational trauma, so you can be the best version of yourself for your children and your friends and your family.
Yep.
But so many of us, and we've done it for years, is, especially the men, is we bury it and just let it build up, and that's where the anger comes out, the depression, the loneliness, the sadness, all that, because you're not choosing to turn around and face the demons that chase you,
Yeah. You need
right?
a big
And by
fucking bolt cutters. That's what you need, man. Cut that shit.
but and that's it, right?
Yeah.
And when you're able to turn around, and it's extremely difficult to look at yourself in the mirror and take accountability and talk to somebody about the things that are, whether it's your fault or not, is probably one of the hardest things you'll ever do.
Yeah.
But again, it's choose your hard. Do you pick that road in short term to try to get over the triggers and the damages that's caused you from your childhood, or like tonight, what we're talking about, abusive relationships, right? Or do you ignore it and bury it, and now you're passing on all that shame and stress and depression down to your children? So
Yeah, man. It's fucked when you
yeah,
do that shit, right? So you got to take care of that shit.
but without further ado, let's please introduce our guest, Miss Rudi. Thank you for being on our show.
Thank you
Welcome,
guys for
Rudi.
having me. This is really exciting.
Yeah, it is.
We're excited to have you here.
I just want to say, um, you know, we've talked before, and you want to start a podcast, so I just want to put it out there. She's in the works of maybe starting a podcast here, so we support you. So I just want to put that out there, and you know, we respect that and what your voice of what you want to put out there. So that's awesome.
Thank you, guys. Okay, so a little bit about myself is I'm a single mom. I have been in multiple domestic violence relationships, and it started a lot when I was younger. I grew up in a lot of trauma. I grew up with an alcoholic single mom who did not break generational trauma, I guess to say. Um, it was a lot of parties, a lot of alcohol. And so from a very young age, I was introduced to all that stuff and thought it was normal. She also was the abuser to my dad growing up. So I was always felt like chaos was normal and abuse, screaming, yelling, crying, all of that was normal in a house. Drugs and alcohol around children was normal. She allowed a lot of things to go on in the house, which I think is what really made my brain not realize how wrong it was. Um, Going forward, I started in a bad thing when I was 14. I had a 27-year-old drug dealing pimp start sleeping with me and getting me to sell drugs with him. And that was short lived. And then I got introduced to my next boyfriend, which I guess is what really started the domestic violence. Um, Sorry, just trying to think
No,
about how
you're
to put
good.
this.
Yeah, it's
Um,
okay. Take your time.
I remember the first time he ever got physical with me. I don't remember why. I remembered we were just lying down in bed and he started choking me. And he choked me until I passed out, and then I woke up and it was like the next day. I don't know what time it was because from what I remember, it was the middle of the night. The things progressively got worse with him in my life. By the time I was 15, he would be beating me so badly upstairs in the room, and he was only 16, so I'm 14 and he's 16. His mom would be downstairs using heroin on the nod, so there was no safety, no safe place, no one to save
Mm,
me pretty much. And the kicker is like my mom, Susan, she knew what was going on, and she let this not let, but she didn't do anything to stop it. She actually started
mhm.
buying drugs from him instead of protecting me from him.
Wow.
He would I'd run out of the bedroom, and there was a townhouse, so it had wraparound stairs, and so I'd run out of the bedroom and I'd run down, and then I'd make it to the second one, but he could reach over and he would grab me by my hair and drag me back up to the room kicking and screaming. um I
Can
would
I ask you something?
Yeah.
So, do you know if his father would ever beat his mom
His
or
dad was in jail most of his life, and his dad died in
okay,
jail. So his dad
okay,
wasn't around very much, but his
yeah,
mom, it still would have been similar relationships he would have seen. His
yeah,
mom was a heavy heroin user.
okay.
She was actually friends with Robert Pickton, oddly enough, and she
Oh,
would hang
nice.
out with him. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So I have no rhyme or reason to why he started doing what he was doing. I know that eventually, once I left, he actually started beating the crap out of his mom as well.
oh, wow.
He's one of those people, like the look in his eyes is like Satan, like black. Like
Yeah.
he had blue eyes, but when you look at him, you see black.
He's definitely that tells me he's missing some kind of, uh, love in his life. You know, if there's something that hurt him
Well,
very, very, like, traumatic that, you know.
there's no excuse for what he did
No,
to you or what,
definitely.
but that stems from his childhood for sure. His father's in jail, dies in jail. His mom's a heroin addict.
Yeah,
Like the kid had no love, like you said, in his
No,
life.
yeah,
but
yeah.
see,
No role model, and the kid held on to some really bad
the
anger.
problem with that though, as like a young girl who didn't have any love from her family, you literally get the idea in your head, if you love them enough they'll stop doing it, and so you
100%.
keep giving them more and more and more,
Yeah.
and it's never enough, and you and the beatings and the aggressiveness just keep coming, and it doesn't matter how much you love them, it never stops.
What you're doing is you're enabling, really.
That's exactly it. And I'm
Yeah.
also, every time that you let something go, and I've learned this over the 20 some odd years of abuse, as soon as it happens that first time and you go back, you're telling them that you're going to keep coming back. It's never,
Yeah.
ever going to get better. Once it's done once, it keeps coming because they think they can get
Yeah.
away with it.
Well, that's just like in
Well,
any relationship, right? Like
Yeah,
even if it
not
wasn't
just,
abusive or anything.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
exactly.
definitely.
well, not just abuse, but that goes with cheating.
Well, cheating's a form of abuse. It's mental abuse. It's
Yeah.
mental torture. It's for me personally, because I've had it all happen. It's all in the same thing category.
Well, it even goes with you and parenting as your children, because you see some kids that just act out, and I love kids. Don't get me wrong, I got two, and some of them it's just when they act out, the parents don't really do anything about it, and it rolls off,
Yeah.
and that's why they keep doing it, is because you let it go the first time.
Well,
Now that goes.
that's how, because narcissism, it wasn't even a thing a long time ago. It's only a big thing now. They consider it a pandemic now. But narcissism is actually created in the brain, and it's from never being held accountable, always getting away with things. So you're told at a young age you can do anything you want, and there's no repercussions for your actions, and that's how it starts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it's
Compared
always.
compared to an
Go ahead.
empath. An empath is actually born an empath, and they actually have extra brain cells in a part of the brain. I don't know the scientific terms, but I've done a lot of reading about it. So a narcissism and an empath are actually like created differently, and somehow the narcissist is always drawn to the empath.
Yeah, that's weird how it is. It's like, well, it's yin and yang, right? Everything
Exactly.
in this world is yin and yang. You need with death there's life, and with life there's death,
Yeah.
right? With love there's loss, and with loss there's love, right? It's crazy how it is. Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
but it's
go ahead, Joey.
no. Go
Well,
ahead.
it's
No,
just
I was just gonna say how it is weird how like narcissists and empaths always get together.
mm-hmm.
Well, because
Because me myself,
sorry, go.
no, go ahead.
I just say it's because they can pull. An empath has so much light in them, and that's what a narcissist is drawn to. And they want to darken your light. They can't handle those happy, bubbly people, those go-getters, because inside of them they're so dark. So they find them and they do everything in their power to dim their light. They take it from them. That's why they call it a supply, is because they supply brightness into the narcissist's life, and they pull it out of them. Like the person I became after my last relationship, which was an 11-year narcissistic abuse one, I was beyond dark. Like everything bubbly, my personality, everything who I was taken from me. And
Crazy.
it's been really hard to get back. And that's my biggest
So
journey right now.
how did you feel when you're in that situation, if you don't mind?
I felt like it was my fault. I felt like I deserved it. It's the gaslighting, right? And I felt like if I just did more for him, if I sold more drugs for him, if I made him more money, he would stop hurting me. He would love me. Or um, when he has a kid of his own, why would he ever want to treat a woman like that when he has a little girl? That's going to change everything. So I felt like everything was my fault and I wasn't doing enough, and that's why it was happening to me.
So like the manipulation, you would
Yeah,
say, really was like trying to, you know,
yeah,
make you think that, like gaslighting,
exactly.
manipulating and gaslighting.
My
Okay.
boy,
And
yeah.
that relationship was 11 years, you said?
Well, we were together for 8. I left after 8, but there is about 2.5 years of back and forth, and it was just straight abuse. I've actually only been fully out of it for just over a year now. Um, because even though he was with somebody else, he was coming to me and telling me, it's us, I'll go to counseling, I'll do everything to change. So, like, literally living a double life, like in detail, it's shit you would only see in a fucking movie, man. Like, he would be with her in the day on Valentine's Day, and then came to my house at night on Valentine's Day and lied in a bed with me and our kid, sharing a bed with us, telling me that it's me and our daughter. This is what he wants. Like, insane shit.
So it's almost like monkey branching in a sense, and trying to figure out which one works the best for him,
Yeah.
and or he's just too afraid to be a man and actually
Or he's a full
tell
blown
his.
narcissist
Yeah,
and just wanted
yeah,
2 supplies.
yeah. It could be too. It's pretty sad.
Before you got before you got into that long relationship that you just finished. Now, you mentioned earlier about the relationship when you were uh Not the pimp guy, but the one right
yeah.
after when it really
That
started.
one was 10 years.
Now, so did you go from that one to this one, or did you have relationships in the middle before this long one?
Nope. I was probably single for 2 or 3 months so my ex from high school, like he did go to jail for, I think 3 or 4 years for kidnapping and beating a woman. And I still chose to go back to him when he got out of jail and sell his drugs for him and all that crazy stuff. The beatings were getting so bad. It was unbearable. There was one time, there's one time that he was punching me in my face and I would get knocked unconscious. And then when I come to, he'd knocked me unconscious again and he was on top of me. And I like slid between his legs somehow. I can't even tell you how. And we were in like Surrey. And I got out of the door and I went to a run and he slammed the door in my arm and I ripped it out and I was running through Surrey in my fucking socks. I had no shoes on and I was running and running. And I ran to a Tim Hortons to call my friend to have a place to go. And oddly enough, my ex was actually, even though he's not now, like if I ever saw him again, like he doesn't scare me. But back then, a lot of people were scared of him. And there was actually people that didn't even want anything to do with me in this moment. No one was going to let me stay there or get there because nobody wanted to deal with how he would react if they found out where I was. So after that, it was about a month or two later, he left to go and work and, his work for his phone. And I packed up one bag. I left the safe keys. I didn't even take a tootie in my pocket. Now, this is where, this isn't my greatest part of my life, but I did have there was a guy around who had a little bit of money and offered to fly me out of province. So I packed a suitcase. I left everything behind, my life, and I flew to Ontario. From there, it wasn't what it was. Within 2 weeks, I was on a bus ride back to BC because he didn't
Well,
have
you're
the
going
money.
to Ontario. What do you expect? That's Ontario. I mean, I could
Well, no,
understand the
my
Bahamas or
dad,
something.
my dad's in Ontario, so like I thought this guy
Okay.
told me he had a bunch of money, so I was gonna move out there. He was gonna live out there, and we weren't even together. It was just somebody I was looking to be saved, and it was somebody that told me that they could save me. I didn't understand that I had to save myself yet.
You're just reaching for someone,
Yeah,
to pull you out of the water.
yeah, it's like
Pretty much.
Pull you out of that
Yeah.
situation.
exactly. And so I got on a bus in what was it? It was February, and I ended up getting stranded in Regina and slept in a bus depot for 2 or 3 days. I can't even remember how many days because the buses couldn't be on the highways. I remember messaging my best friend who's now passed away, Ryan. I messaged him and I was like, I need work. The only thing I knew how to do was sell drugs. And so he said, I have someone that you can work for. And that is how I met my recent ex. So it was literally back to back. And my ex, like my most recent ex, it was very, very verbal at first. Within 3 months, he was calling me a stupid piece of shit. I'm a loser. Still stayed with him for 10 years
Didn't
after
you see
that. But
those big red flags that are just like
thought it was at a
bingo?
carnival. Well,
Yeah.
for me in my head, I'm like, well, at least he's not beating me. At least he's not beating me. And, it started with, I don't want my girlfriend to sell drugs. You don't have to do that anymore. But that's not what it was. I ended up fully doing all the work, doing everything, not getting paid for it, which was most of my life in that was never getting paid for it because I was always working for a guy that was taking from me, which again, that lifestyle is not where I am at or nor will I ever go back. So it is what it is. And it was what it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, within 3 months, and all it was, the first time he ever yelled at me was I forgot my online banking password. And he just lost it. You're a fucking retard. How could I ever marry a kid like you? And the fucked up thing too is, do you know how many times in that 10 years I watched him forget a password? But do you think I could ever once mention what he said to me or say anything of those lines? No, I had to help him figure out what the fucking password was, or whatever. But I can never even bring it up. Like we never talked about it again. There's so many things that have happened of abuse, and I'm just never allowed to talk about it. If I talk about it, it's my fault or I'm crazy. Or what I remember happening never happened. And that's as a victim where you really go crazy because you're like, no, like you did this. And they're like,
Mm-hmm.
no, you didn't. You're crazy. You're crazy.
Yeah. That's gaslighting, definitely,
Oh, yeah, to
right
the
there.
fullest.
Yeah. Yeah.
There is
Yeah.
this
And
one
then you
time.
start second guessing yourself, right? And like,
Yeah,
is he right? Like, trust me,
I
I've been there
have.
on this side. See
Yeah.
what you're talking about? I've experienced on my side the same thing. So it does. It works. It definitely works both ways.
I've always known that like men, there are like it's same thing for men. It's just not spoken about as much. That's why I found, even though yes, it is celebrities, and I'm sure Johnny Depp lied a little bit too, but that Amber Heard and Johnny Depp thing for me, I thought was
Yeah.
a revolution for men in abuse, and I loved it, and not for anything except for the fact that I'm against domestic violence, whether it's a man against a woman or a woman against a man. Either way, I'm against domestic violence. See something, say something. I if and I learned because I have had friends that were abusive towards their partners, and we all grow up with the mentality of not your business, mind your business, but you're still going to cheers a beer with that guy. And
Yeah.
through all my stuff, I learned that, and I'm positive about this. I will not be friends with somebody. I will not cheers. Well, I mean, I don't drink anymore, but I will not cheers a drink with somebody if I know that they're abusive towards their partner. It's not going to
Yeah.
happen
Definitely.
because you're teaching them that they're still a good person. They're still a bro. Like that's not a good person. That's not a bro. That's not somebody that I want to stand behind me in life at all.
That's enabling right there.
Yeah, I
Right?
agree.
You're enabling them, right? You got.
I used to always wonder, and I think a lot of men do too, when you look at some women, because I know girls that I grew up with and friends still, and they always go back to the guy that hits them, abuses them, talks to them the way like you said that they do, and I never understood it because then you'd have guys that would come along, treat them like gold, but they would never go at that guy and they toss him to the side to go back to the ex that smacked him out back. And I never could figure it out. And I'm like, why are these women so fucking stupid? No offense.
None
And
taken.
you're going back to this. But I read this book 2 years ago and it was called What Happened to You? And it talked a lot about these women that go back to and stay in these abusive relationships. Not only is it because, that relationship has killed your self-worth and your self-esteem, but when you go to the next one and there is someone that comes around that is different and doesn't talk to you like that and respects you and loves you, it makes them very
I,
uncomfortable.
I
And
yeah,
they go back to that, not because they want to, because every girl on the planet, I just want a nice guy and I just want a guy that'll treat me right and be loyal. Every single one will say it, but majority will not take it because they are so used to what you've had to deal with and the relationships that you grew up
well,
in
that's
because it was
exactly.
and it was comfortable for you,
Well,
not because you wanted it. Because you obviously didn't like getting punched. Do you? Any girl like getting punched in the face?
no.
I
No,
don't think anybody likes
nobody,
getting punched in
nobody,
the face.
nobody does. But you stay in it because you're comfortable
Well,
and you know
for
it.
me, I never knew anything better. Like I said, Susan abused. I remember when I was a kid, Susan was hammered. Sorry, that's my mom. I just refer to her as Susan. She's not my mom. I gave her 30 years to earn that right, and she's not. So she was wasted fighting with my dad, and now multiple times I've watched her hit my dad, but this one time, and my Susan's only like 5'3". The fact she could pick up a 1990 TV, like a 52-inch TV with the big
Yeah,
backs,
those big guys.
picked it up and threw it at him. And the thing is it had my Father's Day plant that I made my dad. I was a daddy's girl growing up. Father's Day plant that I made my dad, and it shattered on the ground. And I remember this feeling inside my body, how I felt in that exact moment, and scream crying because it was my plant. Like I was tearing up now, and I was literally
Mhm.
like grade 3. And it was such a prominent, big event in my life. So for me, all relationships were abusive. So it wouldn't matter. Why leave this one? The next one's going to be abusive anyway. So what's the point? And
Mhm.
that was a big part of my mentality is this is just what they are. So what's the point on leaving? It's not like there's anything better. And that was another thing. This is all I deserve. There, especially because I was selling drugs and I do have morals and I do have guilt. It's like, well, this is what I deserve. This is all I'm going to get because of who I am.
But why? But why? Why?
Why did I feel that way? Because I was told that forever.
Okay, so you were told it. So if someone tells you to go jump off a bridge, you're gonna go jump off a bridge?
You know what? A couple years ago, would have been a possibility. I'm a lot different now, and I see things differently now. And it stemmed from never really feeling loved by anybody in
Yeah.
my family or anything.
Yeah.
I the person that loved me the most was my brother, and he went through his own hardships, and he ended up leaving, and we like out of province, and he used to tell me he would save me from Susan one day, and he never did. And for me and my brother are close now, but for me, for a while, I had abandonment issues even from him,
Abandonment. Yeah.
because my savior never ended up saving me. And then he was gone out of province, and I was left with this guy that beats the crap out of me, a drunk loser mom, and everybody. It's a fucked up thing is about the high
Well,
school one. Yeah,
not just that though, too. It's like a promise, so it's breaking that, especially
yeah.
someone that you care about, right? So that also affects you. So now it's trust issues as well as abandonment issues, right?
Oh
When you
yeah.
go through that,
I got
right?
I got all the issues, like the
Yeah.
list and
Don't
above.
worry. Don't worry. My list is huge, like the naughty list for Santa. But yeah, no, I feel you. I feel you definitely.
I've learned to forgive, even though like I've learned to forgive that situation with my brother, because like I said, he grew up in the same house. He's got the same trauma.
Hmm.
And so how is he supposed to save me? I'm only 3 years younger. How is he supposed to save
Yeah.
me and take care of me when he was only a kid himself?
Yeah. Yeah. And he's probably like a man, probably trying to hold it in as much as he can, right?
Oh
And
yeah.
try to deal with
To
it.
to this day, he still doesn't talk very much about it.
Yeah.
He's the
Mhm.
only one of the siblings that actually talks to Susan. Me and my sister
Mhm.
both. I haven't spoken to her since just after my daughter was born. I have zero
Mhm.
contacts. I even changed my phone number on her, and my
Yeah.
sister the same thing.
Well, don't worry.
Last thing I ever got, she would leave me voicemails being like drunk, wasted, and she'd be like, "The reason why I was a piece of shit mom is because I had a piece of shit like you to raise."
Yeah, I don't listen to that shit. I don't talk to my dad 4 years now, I think it is, on my birthday. I told him to go fuck himself, so
It's
don't worry.
one of
You're
the
not
most
alone.
it's one of the most freeing things I ever did. It's like
Yeah.
once I did that, and once I set up boundaries and stood up for myself with that, it started snowballing. And that's when I
Yeah.
started and I say this, my ex, the worst thing he ever did was help convince me to kick Susan out of my life. Because then what happened? I saw how much he was like Susan.
So what you gotta do actually is, all this fucking horrible shit that you've gone through. What you need to do is look at it a different way. You got to look at it as lessons. You needed to go through these things, these battles to make you this strong person, what you are right now. And it sucks that you have to. But I mean, look, I'm watching your snaps. You're killing it, right? You're a great mom. You're putting your daughter first. Your sobriety is on track. So all of those were just little lessons to show you what path you need to be on, and it's all about self-love, and that's what you're doing right now, and
That's
that's what
what I'm
and
learning. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Well, I'm
At the
for
end of the
sure.
day, no one's gonna save you but you,
No,
and
that's the lesson
it's
I had to
true.
learn. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I do
Well,
that. I wouldn't be the mom I am today if I didn't have Susan. And the reality is even though I'm not going to sit here and say I've never been an idiot around my daughter, I went through a really bad divorce. I spent a year drinking and doing coke, and that's the reality. And if I didn't have Susan, I wouldn't have seen the future. If I kept going down that path, where would my daughter be? My daughter would be in the exact same boat I was,
Mhm.
doing the exact same shit. My daughter would think that alcohol and drugs are normal. So that what's she going to be doing when she's a teenager?
Yeah.
Crack and coke are like, well, I mean, not crack. I never. Anyways,
Yeah.
coke is nothing. So if someone puts a line out in front of her as a teenager, it's not going to be a big deal. So what's going to
Yeah.
happen? She's going to start doing
Yeah. Well, and that's what I said. It's a lesson. So it's almost like you should thank her because she guided you.
it
You know
to
what
a
I mean?
certain.
In your own sense. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to go there ringing on her doorbell, give her a big hug and kiss and say thank you. You know what I mean? But
No,
I mean, you have to let that go inside of you in order to move forward as well. And forgive all these people that did these things to you because you're holding on all this weight. I can see your shoulders; they're dropped.
like
Like
yeah.
you're doing this, you know what I mean? And you're
You know,
slowly doing this, and it's good.
I have my sobriety to thank for that. Now I'm still fresh into my sobriety. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm a bunch of sober. I'm sober. I started my
Yeah,
sober curious, I guess is what they called it, in January, and I've drinking I think 4 times since then, and every time I fucking hate it. Like now I know I'm done. Like I want
yeah,
nothing to do with it. But since getting sober, my brain has been able to think clearer, and I have been able to do things and be grateful for what I've gone through, because I wouldn't be the mom I am today. And for the few close friends that I have, I wouldn't be the friend I am today if it wasn't for the things I've gone through. And I know when my daughter's a teenager, I know the signs to look for. If her boyfriend at 14, 15 doesn't want to sit at my fucking table and eat dinner with me, red flag. If that boy doesn't want to know me, know my family, if that family doesn't want to get to know me, red flag. So those are things that I wouldn't know. And those are things that other parents won't know because they don't know the signs and they've never seen it themselves.
Exactly. Well, Joey, what was that thing that you say? Oh God, it was on the tip of my tongue here. Never mind. It'll come later.
The thing that I say,
I forget about. I don't even know now.
was it like the life that you're looking for?
Yeah. That's it. That's
That one?
Yeah.
The magic that you are looking for is in the work that you are avoiding.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty bang on. Yeah, right?
It's true though, because everybody wants this life. Everybody wants to make changes, but nobody does. But
Well, I saw this.
where your life will end up if you put in that work and make those changes, like you are a prime example of that. Like you just lived 20 years of abuse and drugs and etc. and a terrible childhood. And now you've come to the conclusion that you're done with that life. You're trying to make the changes. You're putting your daughter first. You're trying to be the best mom that you can. Now you're staying sober for you, and it has to be for you first in order for you to be the best version of yourself and the best parent for your daughter.
Honestly, it started
You know
it
what?
started with just for her, but the more I spent without alcohol in my brain, the more it was for me, because that first few days, yeah, we all feel great, but once you hit that like 2-3 week mark of no alcohol, it's like the world is bright again. I'd say the 2 week marker for me is where everything changes. And it's like, even the smell of alcohol kind of grosses me out now. Just, and I've been around people drunk and I just like look around. I went to Mexico for a friend's wedding, and everybody drank every day. There's 26 people. I only know 3 of them. So it was all complete strangers. And I watched all the couples get drunk and get in a fight. I watched everyone fight, and I'm back there just sober and single. I'm like,
Eating
this
your
is
popcorn,
great.
just
Yeah,
watching. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Go into my room at like 11 o'clock at night and just be like, and then wake up in the morning and I go to the gym.
Well, I do have to say though, I know you said your daughter first, but in reality, you got to put yourself first, because if you don't put yourself first, you're not going to be able to take care of your daughter, right?
Well,
And
not
we've used this method before about the airplanes. So when the oxygen masks come down, they tell you put it on yourself first before you put it on your kid, because if you put it on your kid and there's some shit in the air and then you pass out, you think your kid's going to be able to put it on you? Probably not.
no.
Exactly. So you got to take care of that
Even though
person first,
I can
or
imagine
yourself
how
first.
hard that would be as a parent on an airplane to actually
Yeah.
be able to do that to yourself first.
Yeah. Well, it's
But that is facts of
Yeah.
life. And I understand it because I'm a parent and we all understand it. And if you ask anyone on the street who comes first, you or your children, it's children every time.
Yeah.
But in reality, when it comes to your mental health and how you take care of yourself, you have to come first. And it is not a bad thing, because if you don't, you start to deteriorate, you start to break inside. Your children feel it, and a part of that is because people choose not to deal with their past traumas and whatever it is that they've had to deal with, and they bury it, thinking that I'm doing this for the children. They can't see me. I can't let them see me like this. I just got to keep pushing. But in the entire time is you're breaking piece by piece and falling apart. But your kids feel that energy. Your kids see that.
My daughter,
Your kid will deal with that because you chose not to.
And it's
my
not like we're saying fuck the kids, lock them outside. You know what I mean? It's not like we're saying that.
Not at all. But
No,
how can, and it goes when in relationship they always say, well, you can't love someone unless you love yourself first. It's so
same thing.
cliche to say, but it's the same for being a parent, being a wife and a husband, being a friend, being a great boss. Is you can't possibly be a good parent Just because you're there every day doesn't make you a good parent.
No.
You're there, but you're not present. So what we're trying to shoot for is the clarity and to get rid of that poison in your mind. And when you start to do that, then you become more present. Then when you are with your children and your spouse and your family, you're actually there. You're focusing on that day because this is all we have is today. Not tomorrow. Yesterday's gone. Is today. And we
Time.
get so caught up and we're struggling.
Since I
And when you spend years of just sitting on all this bad that's happened to you, you're not able to be present. You're on autopilot,
well,
right? And that's the biggest thing is trying to clear that so you can be present and be the best version of yourself to be the best parent.
well, that's exactly like what my 2023 was. Is even though I was there, I wasn't there mentally. I wasn't like who she was, and it was different. So since I started becoming more
Existing.
present, her smile started coming back. Who she was, like she shines
Yeah.
again, and I missed out on that. I forgot what she was like for a year. I forgot. Sorry.
That's okay.
Condo and two dogs. Everyone walking down the hallway.
Mhm.
The look in her face, the sparkle in her eyes, it was gone because mine was gone. She fed off
Mhm.
my energy. She fed off of what I was doing. It wasn't it wasn't her and I wasn't me. And again, this is only short lived. I can't wait to see what next year brings us on this path because everything that's come back again, she feeds off my energy and who I am. And now that I'm present and I'm there, she's there again.
Yeah, you guys have got an amazing bond.
Yeah, we
Pretty
do.
awesome.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love it.
Your
Yeah.
little dance parties.
Yeah, we love our dance parties.
Yeah.
Probably shouldn't do it as much driving as we do, but we do.
Yeah.
Our car concerts.
Uh,
Uh
Go ahead, Joey.
you said you obviously right now your sobriety is a huge thing, and that's amazing. Like you realize certain things in your life that wasn't working. You're making the change. Now, is there anything else that you're doing that maybe people that are listening that was in your situation and getting out of that on other things that maybe you did or doing that would really help them
Um,
on
the gym, at least this is what helped me. The gym gives you that dopamine and serotonin. Now, before I got really bad into drinking and drugs, I was a gym junkie and I was really fit and I was all about it. And I lost that. Obviously, you're hungover every day. You're not going to the gym. So I started back in the gym. And at first, I literally had to go 7 days a week. If I didn't go 7 days a week, I would want to drink. There was one time I didn't go to the gym and I ended up going to the grocery store. I didn't have my daughter. And of course, every freaking grocery store parking lot has a liquor store pretty much. I'm like, fuck. And I was actually in the car and I was bawling my eyes out because I could see the liquor store that was taunting me and the grocery store. And I knew that if I got out of my vehicle, I would end up at the liquor store. And I actually pulled out of I didn't even go to the grocery store and I went home. And I'm not saying that if it was because I didn't go to the gym, coincidentally, in that month, it was like one of the only days I didn't go to the gym. So I feel like that dopamine, serotonin fix, whatever I was looking for to help me, I didn't have that day. And it made me feel like drinking would make me feel better.
That's fair. I can understand that.
and like the
Replacing.
gym is the gym especially is
Yeah.
the most underrated antidepressant in the world.
I freaking agree with you so much. Like the gym is, I mean, besides my daughter, the gym's my life. The gym and her is all that I need in a day right now. That's all I want.
And you know what? For anyone listening, like going to and it doesn't even if you're not a gym person, that's fine. Hikes, walks, yoga,
It's all kinds of
something,
exercise.
something active because the way that you feel even after one workout is unreal. And even just walking for 40 minutes is the equivalent of one depression pill. Just walking.
Yeah.
And going to the gym and doing all these things and that's where it also especially for people that has come out of abusive relationships. Now you lived years in them, like where was your self-esteem? You didn't have any. Where was your self-worth? It was
Yeah.
gone. right? So what you have to do is to try to rebuild that. Now that you have seen the light, in a sense, you've walked away from what wasn't serving you and making your life worse and making you feel worse, as now finding those outlets to bring up your self-worth and your self-esteem back.
Yeah. Another,
And
yeah,
by doing that, that also creates confidence in yourself and anyone listening, in terms of setting boundaries. Like you mentioned earlier with your mother, years ago, you didn't do that because
no,
you just, and a lot of us let things slide and let the red flags, and you see the brightest red flags ever, and you just, oh, but they did this really nice
yeah.
and my mom kind of liked them, and then you justify it.
I was,
But when you rebuild your self-esteem and your self-worth, that shit does not slide ever. And because you're rebuilding your confidence, you're just like, now you're more self-aware, you have clarity in your mind, and you're looking at this and you're like, nope, not even going there. And you set that boundary, whether the reaction you get or not, it doesn't matter, because you've rebuilding your confidence, and the gym and the fitness is massive.
that's,
And
Massive.
honestly,
that, yeah,
who gives a fuck about what anybody says?
agreed.
This is your life. You know what I mean?
Live it the way you want it,
honestly,
right?
yeah.
As long
If
as
they
you're in
say
your own fucking
something,
lane, don't fuck with other people's life. Stay in your own lane and just fucking do
yeah,
what you want, man.
exactly.
But that the reason why people and 90% of the reason why people businesses fail or they don't start what they've always wanted to start is because of other people's opinions.
100%, man.
Straight up, because you can
Yeah,
make a product, you post it, like most people, two people on the internet, like, that's
yeah.
fucking
That
stupid.
sucks.
That's
Well, some
dumb. And then now they're like, oh well, maybe it is dumb. And then they don't do it because they feel shitty about themselves, thinking that user 687 said that this is dumb and I shouldn't do it. And then they don't do it because they're so worried about all these other people. But in
Well, that's something
reality,
that's held me back since in my transition of life is nervous about what people are gonna, because like
Yeah,
the amount of, like I sold drugs for 20 years. Like I only just got my first job recently out of it. I haven't even started yet, but like that's how fresh I am in my new life, to be honest. And I the podcast thing that I want to do, and me helping with domestic violence, something that has hindered me until the confidence that I've been getting going to the gym. And now I'm able to do stuff like this. But it was because of what I think what other people say, or, people saying, I've had people tell me that I contradict myself because even while I was still doing it, I'm like, I don't like this stuff. I don't want to be a part of it, blah, 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 blah. But the reality is like, that is how I felt. But I was also supporting a kid, and I was lost. Like I said, that's all I've ever done for 20 years, and I didn't know anything else. So, what I agree, don't listen to other people. But when you have such a low confidence in yourself, what other people say about you actually it doesn't matter, but in your brain, it matters.
yeah. And
And
you
oh,
can,
100% it affects you huge,
yeah,
because you don't believe in yourself. You don't believe on what you're putting out there. So when someone says what you're thinking, you believe them. And now
yeah,
you're just like, maybe
yeah.
you're right, it is stupid.
But
Or maybe I am fat, or whatever it is.
yeah,
But that's when you have to rebuild that confidence, your self-worth, right?
I,
So that
psychological
way when
warfare.
people do say it, like I used to be like that too, where you care, because I've always been trying to make products and do this growing up, and side hustles, like legit. And then people would say, oh, it's dumb. Like, maybe it is dumb, then I don't do it.
yeah,
But then when you get to a point of, like, you know what, like I look at it, I laugh for a second, and then I just go back to what I'm doing, because it has no relevance in your
yeah,
life. And the thing is most people live in desperate and depression, is because they're always living for other people and not
yeah,
themselves.
You might as well let them drive the car and you can sit in the fucking back seat and go wherever they want? Like I say,
And I just posted a video, actually today. I posted her last night, is letting people be wrong about you or judging you while you keep your peace and your focus is the most underrated power move you can ever make.
100%. 100%. And like I say, man, who gives a fuck what these people say? They're not coming to your birthday party,
no,
right? You're like who cares? Like who, right? Honestly, what all that matters is you and your daughter, and the
exactly,
close people in you. And the close people that really love you are going to bring you up in life. High value people that are going to bring you up in life. Those other
absolutely.
people bringing you down, fuck them.
And to just to touch base on a little bit on what you said, Joey, about the boundaries. I had so many shitty friends using me for financial reasons or whatever. And if it wasn't to the last like 2 months, I started having the confidence. And I swear, again, like what you said, the gym, it gives you confidence back. It makes you feel good. And I have broken up with many friends in the last 2 months, and it's not even like a fight breakup. It's I realize how toxic they are, and
Mhm.
all of the above. And because I'm learning to love myself, I realize that I don't need other people to like me. I don't need so and so and so and so to like me. I don't need to lend them $2,000 because I don't give a fuck if they like me or not anymore, because I like myself. And because I'm more confident in my own brain and I could sit alone on my couch, I'm not looking for anybody to come and hang out with me because I can't stand the thoughts in my brain. And that's a lot of what it was for a long time. I actually physically could not handle being alone, especially when my daughter would be at her dad's house. I would be distraught all the time. And so I had anybody and everybody that would hang out with me. And yeah, it took going to the gym and having the confidence and learning to love myself again, where I realized that I love myself enough that I don't need anybody else to love me.
Codependent is what it
Yeah,
Yeah,
was.
yeah, codependent,
and you
that's
know
for
what?
sure.
Yeah.
You know that when you start growing up is when you start losing friends.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah,
Because because that's when you, like you just said, you're cutting off people that you realize was not in your circle, but making you live in a
yeah,
cage,
yeah.
right? So
Well,
you gotta surround yourself with people that fit your future, not your
yeah,
history.
and some of those people are the people that I ended up drinking with, and like even though once like there was a couple times it was my choice, like since choosing sobriety, but those people were the ones that were like, "What do you mean you're not coming out drinking? Just have one, just have one." Well, sorry, but I'm not somebody that just has one drink. That's not how I
Mhm.
work. Like when I drink,
Yeah.
it's like I binge drink, right?
Go big or
So
go home.
yeah, right. Go big or go
Yeah.
home. So
Honestly, I never seen a point of just having one or
it's a
two.
waste of
Like
calories.
like I'm not, this is kind of sidetracked here, but for me, like I'm not a big drinker. Like Eric's the same. Like I'll literally like be the guy that'll dance on tables and buy rounds like once a year.
True story.
You know,
Longhorns.
I don't
We
I don't
both
buy
were.
beers on my way home from work. I
No.
have my kids 3 days a week. I don't care about drinking. Like I don't mind it, but again, it goes back to like you, like hungover. I don't go to the gym. I eat fucking
Yeah.
garbage, and then and especially at my age, I feel it for 4 days. I'm like, man, was it worth it
Well, see, and that's
for
why I
what to
would
go?
keep drinking though, is because I'd wake up the next day feeling like shit. So I'd be, well, let's just
Very
get
dark.
drunk again. Like, and that's where the cycle comes in.
Yeah. It's a
And
rough
that's where the
cycle.
alcohol, and that's the alcoholism right
Yeah.
Yeah.
there, is because
Which
now
it
you're
took me a lot.
drinking every
It
day.
took me quitting drinking to realize I was an alcoholic. As fucked up as that is to say, it wasn't until I stopped drinking and I looked at everything I did when I was drinking and the fact that it was so hard. And even though I said I stopped drinking, I still went back a couple times. I'm like, holy fuck, man, I'm an alcoholic. Like, when the fuck did this happen?
Yeah, I mean, it can run away on you, right?
Yeah.
It can run
Well,
away on
and
you.
because I was always around drugs and alcohol so much in my life, I never got as bad as I did last year. I thought I was untouchable from addiction. I was like, nope,
Yeah.
it won't get me, because I always went on and off, like, because I grew up around it. But I
Yeah.
realized that I had addiction in other ways. I had a really bad shopping addiction, which was my dopamine fix when I was sober.
Yep.
And then when I stopped shopping, that's when I started drinking. So yeah, I've been an addict, and this is like
Just trading one for another, pretty
exactly,
much.
and never realized that I was an addict until recently at the age of 36, despite
Yeah.
all the things I went through and what I've done. It took me 36 years to realize this shit. Well,
Well, good
pretty
for
much.
you though. Like at least you're that's the like major biggest step is realizing that, because then you're in the right track to fixing it, which you are. So good. Congratulations and good for you.
Thank
That's
you.
awesome. You're very
In
welcome.
your healing journey, are you doing counseling or therapy or anything as well?
I've done counseling. I'm currently not, but that's only because I've tried two people out here, because I was into Okanagan for a little bit, and I had an amazing counselor, and then she got sick with cancer and she had to stop
Wow.
practicing. And then I had another really good counselor, but my trauma was really, really bad. And she actually told me that she's not educated enough to deal with me, and then referred me to somebody else. And then I moved out here. Then I spent a long time not dealing with it. So I've done two. I haven't liked the two that I've had. But I'm big in the spiritual healing. I do yoga. I try to do meditation, but it's really hard for me. I'm really interested in Reiki healing. I want to give
Oh,
that
I
a
was
go.
just gonna say that.
Yeah,
I've my friend's a Reiki healer. I could even pass you the number later. She's
I
awesome.
I
She
would
used
love
to do
that.
it on
Yeah,
me. Yeah, I can hook you up with
yeah.
that. She's a
Well,
master, Reiki master.
because like the reality is counseling for me, and everybody is different, but I'm emotionally intelligent, so a lot of the things
Yeah.
that we talk about or say, like, I'm the one that says this is what I need to do. So
Yeah.
I found that it was repeating a circle for me, and that's when I started leaning more into the gym. And like when I go to the gym, it is therapy for me. My thoughts slow down when I'm in the gym, because I'm counting everything I'm doing. But while I'm counting, I'm still processing things, processing feelings and emotions. It's kind of crazy how much the gym has turned into therapy for me. Even though I'm just talking to myself in my head,
Yeah,
it's still
whatever.
that for me.
Have you ever thought of hypno?
I'm nervous. I've thought about it, but it's something nervous because, like, what if something comes up? Because I've had me and my sister
I did
both
it.
we block out a lot. Yeah, but were you scared of what it could bring up?
A little. I mean, whatever. You just gotta go into it and grab the ball or the bull by the horns. That's it. It
You know
came
what?
out wrong, but yeah,
I've lived through worse, I guess. But hypno
yeah,
is definitely something I've heard about.
yeah.
I've heard and I've been told that I should try it.
So I got a friend
Advised
that has
to.
her own practice. So if you're ever into that too, I can throw that your way as well. But hypno was
Definitely.
kind of it was interesting. I mean,
You only
it
do it
was like
like
I
a
was
few times though. You don't really like
yeah
do it once a week type of thing,
no
right? Yeah.
no it's like a couple months yeah
Yeah.
like once a month even or something like that. But I only went like two
Man,
times and I was like this is just not my thing. Like I
Well,
mean
that's
I opened up
exactly
a
it.
little bit, but I
It's
mean I
trying
tried it
different
right
things and figuring out what it is
exactly
that's gonna help you heal.
yeah
And that's kind of still where I'm at. Is I don't necessarily know exactly how to get to where I'm going. I just know I'm going there, and I'm gonna try other things, and I'm opening to trying a lot of things.
I can hook you
Yeah.
up.
may I make a suggestion? This is a suggestion because you're on your journey and we support you 100%. Is I would, you know, because you went through so much in your life and certain, like, you went through from the abuse to the drinking and drugs, etc. Now your sobriety is taking care of the drinking and the drugs. Now I suggest to stick with some sort of counseling in terms of the domestic side, because as you get better and better yourself and elevate and your self-worth goes up, you start to attract much more positive people.
Definitely.
That's the universe bringing it in, because you're happier, your kids happier, you're bringing in better friends, etc. And that's where the snowball comes in as people make positive changes in their life. But
I've definitely noticed that and recognized that. Like even this podcast today, it's like if I didn't start making the positive changes in my life, I would be sitting here talking with you guys today. Or, and I've, a lot of my friends have noticed this ever since I made changes in my life. It's like everything that I thought that was impossible is actually turning out to be possible. And it's been a wild few months. It's been crazy, that's for sure. But counseling is
and
definitely something that I know that I should and really do need to get back into.
But
well, the reason I say that is because that now deals with the abusive side of all your relationships, because now that you're starting to become more happier and better in your life, and and it's going to take time, and you're putting in the work, obviously, and you're looking forward to you know next year this day and the night and day, and we hope that you come back and talk to us in a year from now and see where you're at. But also remember that by your counseling too, is that eventually you're going to meet a nice guy, and this time it's
I'm
someone
like,
that's
no,
going to be different.
sorry,
Right, maybe not right
natural
now,
reaction. Sorry.
yeah, they're out there. We're out
but
there. I'm a nice
no,
guy.
but
He's a
what I'm
nice guy.
saying is it will come to you at some point in your life, because your life is changing for the
Well,
better.
if I don't do
So
my
someone
healing, I'm
better.
not going to treat them properly.
You got to take care
Well,
of
and that's
yourself.
what I'm
Yeah.
saying, is then it'll make you uncomfortable,
Yeah.
right? So I'm not saying you're going to find someone tomorrow, but a part of your healing, and it
You know
takes
what?
time, and you're already
I'm
doing it.
mentally not see the way that I see that now. I'm first of all mentally not well enough, which I'm aware of, but also my daughter's just getting me back. Nobody's taking my time away from her.
Yeah, spend that
Well, I'm
time.
just saying
No, I
down the
know.
road when that
Well,
comes, and if you haven't, and what I'm saying is if you haven't dealt with that part, and a year from now, 2 years, whenever you grow and you become better, and this is who you attract, because that's exactly what will happen.
Yeah.
Is you're now going to attract somebody. If you stay on the path you're on, you will attract someone that you've never dated before, because this person is going to treat you right, is going to be respectful, never lay his hands on you. But now when that day comes, because it will, is now, from now until whenever that is, a part of that is fixing the abusive side that you've had to deal with, so that way that nice guy and that good guy doesn't make you uncomfortable, and he ends up getting hurt because it's not
Well, it's
comfortable
also
for
the
you.
fact of being able to trust the fact that he's a good guy. I was just saying this to Eric, that like actually I believe pretty much that every man was a narcissistic sociopath. And when I started listening to you guys' podcast, it actually kind of changed my perspective just a little bit on men, because I'm like, whoa, there's guys out there that actually have feelings. Because
Yeah,
every male I've ever known and been with has been a narcissistic sociopath. So I actually, every guy to me was that. And
do you know why? I'll tell you why right now.
tell me why.
Because you weren't ready.
Yeah.
You were hurting inside, so you're attracting these other hurt people,
Hmm.
and that's
You were
exactly
damaged, so you attracted
Yeah.
damage.
I also,
That's exactly what it was.
when you're a damaged person, I've talked about this. So like I've said, while I was drug dealing and stuff like that, and I said I would never date a drug dealer. Well, how could I never date a drug again? Obviously, how could I ever never date a drug dealer and be a drug dealer myself? Because what type of normal classy dude is gonna want to date some hood rat? Like, doesn't make sense. So if I wanted that standards for someone, I would have to have that same standard for myself.
exactly. Like I'm all about high value women. I know what I bring to the table. It's a matter of what they can bring to the table, and it's not about like being better or anything. Like I just want someone that works, like takes care of herself, but at the same time will give me my space too, right? And high
Yeah.
value. They, you know what I mean? It's nothing like. I mean, everybody's got
Um,
problems, but I mean, it's just
Everyone also has things that they need or want in their life, but the
exactly.
truth is you will never attract what you want. You attract who you are.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Period.
Yeah.
Because there's so many people that want this, 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 and this, but they can't, like, if this is something
That's
that you want
crazy.
from a
That's a
person,
great thing to say.
hmm We say it all the time.
if you want this, this, and this, and this from a person, that's great. But you have to be able to match that
Yeah.
list.
Yeah,
And if you can't, you will never get this list.
yeah.
And when you went through the relationships that you went through, you attracted it because you
Hmm.
had your own issues, and you attracted the people that had their issues that never dealt with their issues. So you guys came together. And that's why you didn't work out, is because it became toxic.
Yeah.
And but when you get to a place and your self-worth and self-esteem and all that raises, and you're the happiest and best that you've ever been, and you attract that person, that's when people will meet the one.
Yeah.
You will never meet the one when you are still damaged and you still haven't dealt with your shit.
Well,
Because the best version of you will never be good enough for the wrong person, but when you're at your lowest, it'll still be good enough for the right person,
mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, I was on
right?
top. I was on top of my game like 3 years ago. I was doing good. I was killing it in life. Everything was going good for me, and that's when I met my fiance. Just walked into my life, and she was amazing, top. I mean, she was one of the best persons I've ever met in my life, and Joey can stand for that. He knows her, and she was just amazing. And I wasn't expecting it, you know. At the same time, it's really sad. She passed away last year. But I mean, shit happens. Really, it really does.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, like, but for that example, is like I wasn't looking for anything. I was hitting the gym. I was making meal prepping, killing it. Just doing good, killing it at work.
Being comfortable with being
Oh,
alone is key.
yeah, I'm my own best friend. I don't like
Mhm.
going out. I rather just chill. Like you see my snaps, you see my
Yeah.
my cloud roof. Like my room is dope.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It is. It
Like
is really dope.
yeah, right? Like
But and
but I'm my own best friend. I
Yeah.
I I like being by myself because I enjoy myself's company.
That's exactly what I've started to do again. And I think that it's really important for people to be alone and love to be alone, not single alone, but
Yeah.
like alone, because that's where
Yeah.
you settle in relationships. And I could say that I could never be alone before. I was in a
Yeah.
relationship from like 14 to 33. I was like
Just
I was
jumping.
only ever single for a month or two, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you settle because you can't be alone. Now that I'm alone, like
Yeah.
if a dude's not on my level, I like you're not coming around because I don't
Yeah.
need you. I don't need anybody. And
It's a high value.
exactly. And I
Yeah.
enjoy sitting by myself. I enjoy meal prepping alone. I enjoy all the things that I do alone. It's hard for me to even go out and hang out with friends sometimes on the weekends. I don't have my kid anymore
Yeah.
because I would rather go to the gym, come home, meal prep,
Yeah.
and watch my shows.
Yeah. Or do normal things. Go bowling or go watch a
Yeah.
movie or not going to the bar or the clubs or
No,
whatever. You know what I mean?
no.
Yeah.
But you have to, and most people won't and can't. Both, just like you for the longest time, you
No, I
couldn't.
couldn't.
It was
Yeah.
be alone. When you're able to eliminate those distractions, stay home is when you will find your purpose. You'll find what you truly want to do. And if you can separate that and just focus on yourself, because in your healing process of coming through all your traumas and the counseling and your sobriety in the gym, is you're gonna have lonely days. Because I went through like a month or two where I was just like, man, because my phone, like you, used to ring 30 times a weekend. We're going out here, we're doing
Yeah.
this. Now, fuck it, I don't even think it rings half the
Oh,
time
I'll have like
because,
2 calls in a day now, and I've only been sober for a few months, but it really just goes to
well,
show what you were there for.
million
Yeah.
percent. And you start to realize as you grow and filter out the people that are not good in your life and keeping you in this cage, there is a lonely period. But in that lonely period is being alone and
Learning.
figuring it out where you want to be in your life and finding that magic that people would look for. But they're so distracted with life and their phones and Tinders and going out on Friday nights that, like, what are you guys celebrating? You guys aren't where you want to be in your life. So what it is you're popping bottles for?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you should be focusing on you and the one word that will change your life is saying no.
Yeah. It was really hard
That's
for
it.
me to learn to say no
No.
to hanging out with people because I was such a people pleaser because of the way that I grew up. And I only like recently just started saying no to like going to things. And it's like, why? It's like, cause I just don't want to.
Yeah.
If it's work to get ready to go to it, that means I don't want to go. If I drag myself off the couch, why the fuck am I doing it? I don't have to be
Yeah.
at every event. I don't really care to be there. And when I go there, it's not like I don't drink anymore. Like it's not fun. So why would I get ready and go? Like the answer is no. I'm going to do a late night gym session and watch some true crime documentaries. Like fuck that.
I mean, it's okay to go like once in a blue moon. Like that's how I do. Like I'll go out when like it's my buddy's birthdays, right?
Yeah,
Like
like
there's
that, but not
special
just like
events
for
and
a
stuff.
Friday night for
Oh
no reason. Let's go do
no,
karaoke at the fucking ghettoest
yeah,
bar in Langley. Like,
yeah.
no,
No, you
thank
don't want to
you.
hear me sing. I'll tell you that. Everybody will leave. It's like fucking a dying, it's killing a cat. But yeah. I mean, how? Okay, so let's get back to this. So, how did you like get out of like this whole funk? Like, what was the like?
um, I started so about 2 years ago was when I got really suicidal in my split with my ex-husband. And this stone cold sober, not even alcohol induced. I would sit there with a handful of
Mhm.
oxys in my car wanting to take them and then remembering that who the fuck's going to pick up my kid from preschool. And then through my drinking, probably in November and December, I was really bad drinking. Our wedding anniversary is December 31st. So December was always a bad month for me after leaving. Um, there was a couple times it'd be like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm drunk. I'm coked out of it. And I would,
Hold on. Does that date still get to you, trigger you?
well, last December 31st, I stayed up for 2 days partying. So the answer is yes. This year is
Okay.
going to be my first year doing it sober and actually dealing with the emotions. And
So
that's something I haven't done yet.
so what you're doing is you're letting all this live rent free in your head then.
Yes, that's exactly it. I wasn't letting go of anything. I was glued to my pain. I was addicted to my own pain.
Yeah, okay.
I didn't know how not to feel it, and it was like I was making myself feel pain by allowing it to still hold such significant purpose in my life.
So it's controlling you and taking your light away
Yeah,
pretty much.
yeah.
So, yeah. But now you're taking that back step by step, and
I'm
like Joey says all the time, 1 degree each day.
I'm
You
actually
wanna
really
explain that?
excited for this. Oh, sorry.
No, 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 you're good, don't say sorry. Do you wanna explain the 1 degree? Have you heard that?
No.
Okay, there you go.
So basically, if you look at a ship and it's in the middle of the ocean and you offset, like that ship has a destination. Now, if you offset that ship's destination by 1 degree, 3 days, a week, 2 weeks later, you're not going to notice a difference. 3 months later, and it crosses that ocean, it is in a completely different destination just on that 1 degree. 3 months later. And it's the same as when you rebuild your life. And every day you do something that's 1 degree off of your routine, just the smallest thing.
Yeah.
And that will start to create this snowball. And all of a sudden, now you just met someone that you never thought you would met or meet because you decided to take this class.
Yeah.
And now, because you decided to take that class, the person that you meet now knows this person who just got you the best job you've ever gotten. And now that you got this job, is now projected you into a bigger house that you've always wanted or whatever.
Yeah.
Because of that one little thing that you need to do in your day-to-day routine, because most people are like zombie land and it's just the same thing. I get up at 5, I drink a glass of water, I go to work, I come home, I feed the kids, I watch my Netflix, and I go to bed. So to me personally, is if you look forward, fast forward a year from today, and your life is the exact same and nothing's really changed, you have wasted an entire year of your life.
Yeah.
And time's the most valuable
But
thing in this life.
1,000,000%. So every day, just do one little thing, like go for a walk for 10 minutes. You're not a walker, do it
Do it
anyways.
anyways. Yeah.
You know, you never made your bed every morning. You never do. Make your fucking bed.
That's
Do you know
something
about
that
that?
since
Those
I got
little
sober,
things.
that's so funny that you mentioned that because I looked at my bed this morning when I made it and I was like, fuck, it feels good. Because since my sobriety, that's like my one thing. Because I read like to make your bed every morning as soon as you get up, like that's one completed task. And when you come from someone who hasn't been completing anything to complete one task first thing in the morning, it actually sets the standards for the day. And
Exactly.
now every time I walk through my room to my room looks cute. I got my stuffies on my bed, and it feels good, and
Yeah.
and it's weird, but making your bed can actually help progress your life, help the progression.
We say it
Well,
all
e-
the time.
e-
We preach that
and that's
all the
even
time.
when you're, yeah, and when you even when you're in like a depressive state and you're just feeling down all the time. It's the same as going to the gym. It's gonna make you feel
Yeah,
better if you go.
Yeah.
And it's the same as you walk through your house, because I used to be like that when I was so down. I didn't give a fuck if there's dishes in the sink.
yeah,
I would walk by I would walk by a shirt on the floor because I was on autopilot and all I was doing was thinking about my problems and not giving a shit. And but then I would come back an hour or two later and look at it and feel even shittier because I've just realized that I've left that there for 3 days. And so when you're able to do the little tiny 1 degree every day, keeping your house clean, mow the lawn, and it sounds so cheesy, it helps build on the fitness as well and making yourself feel better. Go get fresh haircuts every two as
yeah.
well, guys. Every 2 weeks, girls, go get your hair done, get your nails done once a
It's
Nails
month.
that
did.
thing,
Do-
feel good, look good, right? And you know what? There's been days like even my anxiety. I had really bad anxiety the other day, and it was really hard for me. But what did I do? I ended up getting in the shower, showering, blow drying my hair, and like the fact I went and took care of myself and helped relieve some of my anxiety. And then I went out and I was able to get my errands done and do my things.
Definitely. That's awesome. See? Growing and
Sorry.
winning. Well, um, I think this has been awesome, man.
This has been quite an evening,
Yeah.
and I really enjoyed it.
Hell
And I
yeah.
just want to say, first, thank you for everyone that's tuned in this week. We are Raw Minds. We are the podcast that dives deep into the issues and traumas of mental health. And if you guys are listening and you are struggling and you really don't know if you can make it another day, please reach out to us, rawmindspodcast@gmail.com. Myself, Eric, we answer any message. the phone, and if you don't think you're going to make it for another hour, we will call you ASAP, and we will be there to help you. And if you need to find resources in the town that you live in and we don't, we will help you find those. So please reach out to us, rawmindspodcast@gmail.com. Hit us up on the TikToks. I also have Iron Menace, which is a fitness platform. You can hit me up there as well. And that's and we're here every week. And myself and Eric have lived 30 years of trauma and abuse and loss of family, and the list goes on. Try to kill ourselves, and that's why we do what we do. So to be able to come out on the other side of that and talk with you guys is a blessing for us, and it's our counseling,
Paying it
and
forward.
people and paying it forward, right?
Yeah,
Just to try to save someone's life. So we want to thank you for that. And on my end, I would also love to thank Miss Rudi. You've been awesome, and it's been such a pleasure and great to sit and talk with you. And
Thank you guys.
I'm truly sorry.
It's been an honor to
I'm
be
truly
here. You
sorry.
guys are awesome.
Yeah, and I'm really sorry that you had to go through the things that you've gone through. But you know what? Like Eric said earlier, it has made you who you are today, and it is making you a stronger person than you probably ever thought you could be. And
Definitely.
I wish you personally nothing but the best on your healing journey. And if there's anything that you ever need from us, or if you want us to help promote once you get your podcast going and all this and all that jazz, we support you 100%. We got your back. And
Thank you guys so
so thank
much.
you again.
Thank you.
Yeah. But on that note, on my end, if you can't find good people, be good people.
yeah. Thank you, Rudy. You did it.
Thank
Hell
you.
yeah. There you go. And yeah, like Joey said, we will definitely help you out. I'll show you the ins and outs,
Well,
and
now
we
that I
can
got
get
a
that
little bit of a
going.
taste of it, and now that I feel pretty comfortable in the end, I definitely think I'm gonna start getting into it and seeing how to go about this, because this is pretty cool, and what you guys are doing is a really really good thing, and I want to be a part of it, and I want to help people too.
Well, you're doing it. You're already right now. You're on the podcast. You talked about what you went through and stuff like that, right? And who knows? We're international. We're all over the place. Philippines, Mexico, Japan, like we're all over the place, right? So maybe, you know, it's gonna help. We have women listeners. It's gonna help women listeners, and also men. Is hopefully like my biggest thing is, like you hear Rudy here what she's gone through because men they haven't dealt with their issues and stuff, and you're taking it out on people that you supposedly love, which is bullshit. We should all be coming together and helping each other, not fucking hurting each
Hmm.
other.
Yeah.
So I mean, it works both ways. So if you're listening out there and you've raised your hand to a woman, fuck you, like smarten the fuck up, you know, because like you're hurting people, and it's just not
It
cool.
doesn't just go away after the bruise; it sits there forever.
Exactly,
Forever.
exactly.
And people don't realize that, right?
Yeah.
But
Well,
again, that it comes down to that's what you attracted as well, and it's
Yep.
not your fault that you got hit, but it's that's who you were. It
Addicted to
was someone
chaos.
that was
Yep.
yeah.
addicted to
Hmm.
chaos. That's what you attracted into your life.
Yep.
Well,
And you might not be the physical abuser, but you had a lot of issues that you never dealt with going into these relationships.
Absolutely.
So of course, this is the type of people that you attracted into your life, and a lot of people don't look at it like that either.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
I loved them, and I would never hurt them like that. But the reason why you're with this person is because you ignored all the red flags in the beginning.
Yeah.
You seen them, you ignored it because you didn't have any self esteem, self worth,
Because I
and
wasn't ready
there
to
was a
put in the
lot of
work.
things,
Exactly.
and there's a lot
Exactly.
of things that you held on to that you never dealt with,
Yeah.
Mhm.
which made you very damaged at the time.
Yeah.
And of course, that's what you attracted was the damaged people,
Mhm.
right? So,
But you're killing
but
it.
you know what? You're killing it.
Yeah.
We're so happy that
Yeah.
you've seen the light and making those changes and picking the path that you need to walk down.
Thank you
Yeah.
guys.
Now,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Feels really good.
Well,
So I hope you keep in touch with
I
us. We
definitely
really
will.
do.
We come
And if
back
you need
on, man.
anything,
Yeah, we had this was a good one. Yeah, this is
Anytime you
interesting.
want,
Like it's a
anytime you want,
men's
I'm
mental
here.
health podcast, and but it shows the other side of the story, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like
Maybe some
what
guys need to
happens when
hear it in
people
order for them to start putting in
the,
some changes on how they
exactly
treat a woman. Maybe they don't
e-
really see what they're really doing to them.
exactly 100%.
and women also see with the way we talk and the guests that we've had is how men also, like you said, you didn't think guys had feelings.
No.
Like there's a lot of us that struggle every day,
Yeah.
and it's really hard on us. But it's really hard for a woman to understand a man, and it's really hard for a man to understand a woman, obviously.
Yeah.
But the reason why we do this is not only to help people, but also show and maybe help people realize that we all are human, we all have emotions, and we all struggle. And from a man's perspective, like we have messages all the time, a lot more lately by women. I love listening to you guys because I didn't think that men did that, or
Yeah.
now I see why my husband is like that, or
Opening up
and
the eyes
they're
to
getting
us.
and they're
Yeah.
getting pointers of like, okay, the next argument, maybe that's why he's like that.
Yeah.
And now they're being more
Yeah.
understanding because we're also giving the females the information of like, no, this is why guys do this. This is why we're hurting. This is why
I'm sure
whatever.
you guys are giving men the power to communicate about feelings and emotions too, because the fact that you two guys are saying it,
Yeah.
I'm sure it's allowing other men to feel comfortable saying it to their girlfriends or wives or making their
Yeah.
relationship better with everyone around them.
Well, one of the biggest things that I preach, definitely, especially if you're if you're in a relationship, is usually if you're fighting with your partner, it's not you versus them. It's you and your partner versus the problem.
Yeah.
And people need to look at it like that, you know? And it's true. And like you have your partner say and you come home from work, and you're about 30%. You had a rough day, you're about 30%. Well, your partner should help you. I don't think relationships are 50-50. It just goes back and forth and
Yeah.
it's bad.
Sometimes it's 20/80, sometimes it's 60
Yeah,
40.
exactly.
Yeah.
So if I'm 30, then my partner picks up that 60, and
Yeah.
takes care of that 60, and vice versa when that, right? So I try to implement like it's not you versus your partner, it's you and your partner versus the problem.
Yeah.
And it's just about communication, right? So
I agree.
hopefully instead of people raising their hands, they use their mouths and communicate. Sit down, figure it out. And if you guys can't figure it out, then go separate ways. Be fucking an adult.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Figure it out.
Yeah.
But anyways, I think that's it for us. So I just want to say thank you again.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you guys so
And
much again too.
You're
on
welcome.
a side note, check out my fitness clothing line, ironmenace.com. I'm coming up with some new women's shit next week.
I definitely will be.
Yeah.
You buddy.
All right,
Fuck
guys.
yeah.
Okay,
All right,
be
have
good
a
or
good
be
night,
good at
guys.
it.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Peace out.
You can't make money if you don't have money.